Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, to all teachers, parents, advocates, na kasama po natin ngayong umaga. Kamusta po kayo? I hope everyone is safe and healthy. Let us take care of our health, beginning with proper hand washing at pag-observe po ng physical distancing, lalo na pag lumalabas po tayo para mag-grocery, bumili ng makakain, or magbayad ng bills. By the way, ako nga po si Esa Capule Navarro, or Teacher Esa, and I will be your moderator for this webinar session. So in 10 minutes, we will begin our webinar. Hintayin lang po muna natin ang ating mga co-teachers at mga magulang na mag-tune in sa ating Facebook Live. Naku, sobrang excited po kami to talk about our topic for today, and we are looking forward from hearing from you. So habang tayo ay naghihintay, kindly tag your friends, message them, and invite them to join us. For now, para mas makilala namin kayo, please write in the comment box your school and region para po ma-acknowledge namin kayo. Okay po, titingin po ako sa ating comment box. Good morning po. So, good morning, Ma'am Dolores. Good morning po, Sir Ernie. Okay, meron po tayo from Nagcarlan, Laguna. Magandang umaga po. Alright, from San Pedro, Laguna. Magandang umaga. From Quezon City and Caloocan. So sana meron din pong mag-join tayo sa atin from Visayas and Mindanao. Ayan. I hope everyone's excited to hear and listen to our webinar session today. So for most of you, kilala nyo na po siguro ang KaSaMa Teachers Community. For some, marahil ay bago po ito sa inyong pandinig. Before I tell you more about KaSaMa Teachers Community, tanungin ko lang po kayo para malaman po natin, can you guess ano ang meaning ng kasama? So pwede nyo pong i-drop yung answers nyo sa comment section. Titingnan ko po kung alam po natin kung anong ibig sabihin ng kasama. Alright, ay dami pa nagano from Calapan City, from Aklan. Welcome po sa KaSaMa Teachers Community. Ayan po. So ano nga ba meaning ng kasama? Okay. KaSaMa stands for Ka-Science and Ka-Mathematics Teachers. Ano ang mga organizations naman kaya ang mga nasa likod ng KaSaMa Teachers Community? Okay, so KaSaMa Teachers Community or Ka-Science and Ka-Mathematics is a professional online community for Filipino K-12 science and mathematics teachers launched by the University of the Philippines National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development or UPNISMED in partnership with Gokongwei Brothers Foundation. So you saw, okay, so para makilala pa po natin itong platform na ito, samahan niyo po akong manood ng maikling video. Okay, you saw it right. Aside from webinars, we also continuously develop content and learning resources such as lesson plans, activities, and exercises, assessment tests, etc., which could help you in preparing for the opening of classes, especially in our transition to the new normal in education. Ang tanong, how to register? Just visit www.kasamateachers.ph, flash on your screen and type in the caption and sign up for free. Libre po ito mga KaSaMa teachers. So connect with your co-teachers, connect with KaSaMa Teachers Community. And now, it is time to officially start our first webinar session. So welcome to KaSaMa Webinars by the KaSaMa Teachers Community. This is all made possible by the University of the Philippines National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development, or UPNISMED, in partnership with Gokongwei Brothers Foundation. So UPNISMED is a research unit of the University of the Philippines with the mandate to improve science and mathematics education in the country. Now, our counterpart, Gokongwei Brothers Foundation, or GBF, is a family foundation whose core thrust is advancing STEM education, believing that this is a driving force towards sustainable national development. In 2011, UPNISMED established KaSaMa Teachers to help teachers during the transition to the K-12 curriculum in basic education. In 2019, UPNISMED and GBF partnered to bring an improved one-stop hub for communication, collaboration, learning, and development for all Filipino K-12 science and math educators. Through its website, kasamateachers.ph, KaSaMa provides free quality teaching resources, a platform for sharing best practices, and professional development opportunities to K-12 science and math teachers. So as we transition to the next normal or the new normal, now more than ever, KaSaMa Teachers Community will continue bringing you relevant and helpful opportunities for professional development and develop learning resources which could help you in preparing for the opening of classes. So kasama niyo po kami mga kasama. So as we begin today's webinar session, just a few reminders. Huwag po tayong mahihiyang magtanong. If you have questions, just comment with your school and region. So we will be collecting your questions so our resource speaker can answer them before the session ends. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, pero sana maintindihan po natin yung limitation natin sa oras. So feel free to tag your friends and to message and invite them to join us anytime. Okay? So now it is time to start our webinar. Let me now introduce you to our resource speaker. He is a mathematician and a registered guidance counselor who's currently serving as a guidance service specialist at the Office of Counseling and Guidance at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He will be sharing with us his knowledge on teaching with compassion and providing psychosocial support to students. So mga kasama, let us all welcome Mr. Rolando C. Delos Reyes II.
Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. No? Thank you, KaSaMa Teachers Community, for inviting me. Teaching is close to my heart. As has been said, no, I am a secondary mathematics school teacher, and I am a founding member of UP Smart, no? Science and Math Majors Advocating Responsible Teaching, doon po sa UP College of Education. And I'm now working as a guidance counselor. That's why I'm shouting out also to my companions also sa UPD PsychServe, no, which is Psychological Services, where I am also a volunteer counselor. No, some of the items that I will be discussing with you regarding responding to our students in their psychosocial issues will be coming from our protocols. No, I would also like to share with you yung resources po ng National Council for Teachers in Mathematics, no? NCTM. They're having their 100 years now, and they're offering 100 free webinars since April po, at they are still running until June. So I hope that Kate will be able to share with us, no, sa Facebook comments yung website ng NCTM. Pero kung nahihirapan kayo, Google lang NCTM 100. Okay, let's proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this session, first we'll explore the issues. Second, we'll discuss responses with support and compassion. Next slide, please. So ito po yung short outline natin, and we hope that we'll be able to discuss all of them so that we could still entertain questions at the end. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so first stop is our psychosocial issues. Ano ba yung mga nararanasan ng mga psychosocial issues? Hindi lamang po ng mga estudyante natin, ha? Malamang tayo rin po ay nakakaranas itong mga psychosocial issues na ito. Let's proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, anxiety and panic. Ano ba yung anxiety and panic? It is palpitation, shortness of breath, headaches, or may mga ang dami-daming naiisip sa ating utak, no? So bakit man nangyayari ito, no? First, because we are used to typhoons, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes, but never did we experience a pandemic. First time po ito ng Pilipinas. Pangalawa, next, the amount of anxiety equals the amount of uncertainty that we dread. So dahil po ngayon, hindi natin alam, like ngayon, kaka-announce lang GCQ na, so what will happen with GCQ, di ba? So hindi pa natin alam kung anong mangyayari. That will abangan sa susunod kong kabanata sa June 1. Next po. Law of inertia states that a mass moving at a constant velocity tends to keep moving at that velocity unless acted upon by an outside force. Sadly, in our everyday life, that outside force is the pandemic that we had, no? So yun po yung nangyari sa atin. Natigil lahat yung buong buhay natin. Next. Okay, we'll discuss about depression and hopelessness. What is this about? This is deep sadness for more than 2 weeks, the lethargic attitude, and loss of interest in everything. So why is this happening nowadays? No? Because with the lockdown, the economy is going down also. So yung mga tao nawawalan ng trabaho, nawawalan rin ng means of livelihood. Next. This day of not being with their family is a dagger in the hearts of our OFWs. No? Kaya ang hirap po na mabuhay araw-araw na hindi mo alam kung kailan mo makikita ang pamilya mo. Next po. And even as we loosen our quarantine measures, like right now, GCQ na tayo, deaths and infections continue to rise. I believe we're already about 15,000 na, and baka aabot na tayo ng 1,000 deaths. No? So, yun ang isang bagay na kailangan nating tingnan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng sense of hopelessness ang mga tao ngayon. Next slide. Okay, the next feeling that we have is anger and frustration. And what is this? Rage, increased heart rate, social media rants, and also outcry. No? Yung tipong naka-all caps na lahat. Why is this happening? No? First, because of fake news, authorities not agreeing on their reports, iba-ibang sinasabi ng DepEd, ng presidential spokesperson, ng DLLG, ng DOH, no? And then there's also bias for friends and against critics, and there is OFW woes, no? Next, ano pa? There's also difficulty in accessing health and other social services. So what does it mean, no? Yung mga buntis po ngayon, ang hirap manganak ngayong pandemic na to, no? Yung mga estudyante natin na gusto umuwi, pero nahihirapan kumuha ng travel pass, no? And then yung mga poor and senior citizens natin, nahihirapan rin na maka-avail nitong mga bagay nito. Next po. We also know that healthcare workers, suspect, probable, confirmed persons, and their families are also being stigmatized and discriminated at this time. Kaya medyo nakakagalit po yung mga ganong klaseng pangyayari. Next slide. We'll talk about deep sense of loss of someone or something important. This is grief. And why is it happening? No? Number one, next. Because loved ones have died. I myself experienced having a friend, a doctor, and a student of mine died because of this pandemic. Next po. Because of opportunities lost. No? So, work or study abroad, nawala yan. Seeing a loved one in the province or abroad, hindi mo na magagawa muna. Business opportunities, nawala rin po itong mga bagay na ito. So that's a form of grieving for most of us. Next po. Okay, we'll now proceed with providing psychosocial support. Important here now is we will now respond to our students or even to ourselves experiencing the aforementioned psychosocial support. Okay, let's proceed. Next, we'll first discuss how to deal with anxiety and panic. Next, we will try to see and check on physical illness, eating, mood-altering drugs, sleep, and exercise. So ito pa yung mga bagay na kailangan nating tingnan sa isang tao na nag-anxiety o nagkakaroon ng panic attacks. No? Nakatulog ba siya? No? May sakit ba siya? No? Siya ay nakakain ng mabuti? No? Siya ba ay yung iba kasi ang kanilang resort, kahit na may liquor ban, nakakuha sila ng wine pa. So yun ang ginagawa nila, o meron pang beer sa ref, no? So yun ang tinitake nila. So mood altering drugs also, no? And then also exercise. That is very, very important. Next po. Yung susunod natin pwedeng gawin is to intrusive thoughts. To write them down instead of just thinking about it. So just imagine, no? Ang dami-dami nasa utak mo. So instead na iniisip mo siya, why not isulat mo siya? It is a form of release, no, for people who are experiencing anxiety and panic attacks as well. No? Next po. The next intervention is facts over emotions. Ano ba to? Tatanungin natin yung tao, ano ba yung nararamdaman mo? Does it fit the situation right now? And then kung nag-fit naman, like kinakabahan siya o natatakot siya, the next question that we have to ask is your behavior helping at this time? Example, especially doon sa first leg ng ating COVID-19 pandemic, no, nung nag-quarantine tayo, yung hoarding behavior. Is it helping or is it actually exacerbating yung nangyayari sa atin ngayon? So that is something that we need to challenge, no? Not only ourselves but also the people whom we are helping, no? I-challenge natin yung mga thought patterns nila. Okay, next po. Radical acceptance. We have to point out that there are certain things that are beyond our control, or there are certain things that we cannot solve at the moment, no? So for example, yan, GCQ na. Oh, what happens in GCQ? We don't know. We will be able to learn that step by step, I feel, no? Pagdating na ng June 1, no? So parang say, tanggapin na lang natin is GCQ, and then ano yung mangyayari? We don't know yet. So we'll try to learn as the days go by. So that is something na as of now, hindi pa natin malalaman. Meron bang bus? Meron bang jeep? We don't know. So that will happen as we go along. And lastly, okay, so dito, I will ask you now to do some exercise. Ano ba itong deep breathing and mindful exercises? This is a way for us to relax and to release our body tension. And I know hindi ko kayo nakikita, but I hope that you will be able to follow my lead. Okay? We will do a deep breathing exercise, and I want you now to sit down, sit up straight, and feet flat on the floor. And I want you now to follow my lead. We will be inhaling 4 counts through the nose and 6 counts through the mouth. Okay? Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Okay, so I want you now to close your eyes and I want you to just hear my voice and follow my lead. Okay, close your eyes. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so that is our short exercise. I hope that you felt something different afterwards, no? So the deep breathing exercises allow us to relax and hopefully to be able to release those tensions. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. We'll now discuss about dealing with depression and hopelessness. So how do we do that? Next po. We need to validate feelings and not to hopelessness. Do not validate hopelessness, but you could validate their feelings of fear, of sadness, and validate also, pakinggan nyo ano yung concerns ba nila. And validate those concerns, that these are valid concerns. No? Next po, we need to do some psychoeducation. What does it mean? No? Parang kailangan natin ipaalam sa kanila na once we get to move our bodies, we tend to increase our happy thoughts. No? So kaya nga yung mga tao, for example, na pagkagising ngayon sa quarantine, pagkagising, TV ka agad, I think that is not a good idea. A good idea will be, pagkagising mo, maybe you do some stretching exercises. You do some push-ups, you do some physical exercises para umandar yung dugo natin. Okay. Next po. A way also to deal with hopelessness, and depression is to look for the sparkling moments on the narrative. Nakikinig tayo, no? As you listen to students or possibly to individuals who may be experiencing depression and hopelessness, listen to their stories and try to catch yung mga phrases na always or never. Or parang pag sinabi lang, I will never get better. Pag sinabi nila yon, challenge them and say, do you always feel that way? Did you not feel a different type of feeling? So, i-challenge natin yan, no? Yung mga narrative na ganyan. O for example, no, parang wala naman nangyayari sa buong araw ko eh. Pag narinig mo yon, talaga nga bang walang nangyayari sa'yo? Like I have a case, no, of a student na, sir, wala na naman, hindi ako naging productive. So, I will ask him, paano mo nasabing hindi ka productive? What happened throughout your day? Eh sir, kasi hindi ako nakapag-ACADS eh. No, nakapaglaba ako, naglinis ako, meron nagpatulong sa akin. So sabi ko, that it is, no? Hindi ka man naging productive in your own sense, pero actually productive ka in another sense. Nag-gets yung ibig ko sabihin? So parang let them see na merong positive, gumaga yung sinasabi ng Catriona Gray nga, na a silver lining, na merong mga bagay na nangyayari naman sa buhay nila. Hindi naman puro walang nangyayari. Okay? And next po, what we can do is to challenge them to produce and explore hobbies or interests or household chores or what you call, ano ba yung mga bagay na pwede nilang gawin sa bahay, no? Maybe some of them can draw. I know of my clients, no, some of them are drawing anime or some of them are drawing talagang perfectly good paintings, expressing themselves through drawing as well. Some of them are writing down, so gumagawa ng poems, gumagawa ng mga literature because of what they're feeling, ini-express nila doon. So, or some of them are doing household chores, naglilinis ng banyo, or for example, some of them naglalaba, nagluluto, and some things that will, bottom line, things that will make them happy. Okay po? So yun po yung i-explore natin sa kanila. Let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, we'll now deal with anger and frustration. So paano ba natin i-deal ang anger and frustration? Next po. First, we'll let them validate, no, kung ano yung mga frustrations nila outside of their control. Like for example, mag-open na yung classes. Sa Pasig daw nga, no, June 1, meron na enrollment. So parang, ayan na. So parang, bakit mag-enrollment? No? Parang hindi ba nila alam na delikado pa, tumataas pa ano? So, let them validate those experiences na okay lang naman magalit, na okay talaga yon, no? Na parang, it's something that is valid. No? Yung experiences nila, yung nararamdaman nila, yung nararanasan nila. Okay, next po. But we need to let them know that meron mga bagay na nasa control pa natin. No? So, for example, if you're talking about opening of classes, so maybe you could already save or work for a device that you could use online. No? Mag-canvas ka na siguro. Ano bang magandang gadget na pwede kong gawin? No? Or pwedeng siguro makihiram ka na, no? Maghanap ka na ng kamag-anak mo na pwede magpahiram sa'yo ng gadget na pwede mo magamit sa online classes. So these are things na ililid natin sila instead of just focusing on the anger. Okay, what is it that we can control and what is it that we can plan ahead? So direct them towards problem solving. Next po. remind them that hindi dapat tayo nandun lang sa or, either or, and us versus them, no? For example, let's make this statement, we can work, no, to tayo, we can work on both safety from the virus and continuous learning. So, pwedeng ganun yung statement na, di ba, na parang meron namang middle ground na hindi pwedeng protect na ng virus, wala nang pag-aaral, o tuloy yung pag-aaral pero walang protection ng virus. Pwede namang pagsamahin. So that is something that we need to let them walk through. Remember that we will be walking through with them. Hindi natin didiktahan pero let them see it. Mas maganda kasi nasa kanila lang gagaling po yun. And next po, we need to let them know that there's still things outside of our control. Like for example, the government directives and the IIPF, no? Yung mga pronouncements nila, minsan nakakagunaw ng mundo, no? But the thing is, sometimes you also have to let them know that ang change kasi, every time there's a change, there is a natural resistance to the change. So let them understand na talagang normal tayo na nagre-resist sa lahat ng pagbabago. And that is a normal phase that we have to walk through. Okay, and okay, let's go to the next slide, please. We'll now deal about grief. How do we deal with people who are sad over the loss of their loved one? Okay, next po. We need to give them space, and as much space as they need, no? To express all of their emotions, the sense of sadness and frustration that they are feeling. Next po. We need to also direct them to radical acceptance. Direct them to present and redirect them to the present moment. No? We cannot do anything about the fact that this person died, but we can do something about the family that he left. No? I remember, I have a friend na namatay sa Boracay. No? If you have remembered yung mga dragon boat, no? Yung isang friend ko po kasama doon. Hindi lang yung friend ko, pati asawa niya. So imagine that, no? Na parang yung mag-asawa namatay at an instant. So there's also grief there na parang shocks, namatay yung kaklase ko sa kayong kanyang asawa. But that is me grieving. But at the same time, kami mga kakaklase nagsabi na, o teka, meron silang nag-iisang anak, maybe we could help this son. No? So yun po yung ginawa namin, pumunta kami sa Cavite, nakiramay po kami, pero naghandog rin po kami ng tulong pinansyal doon sa naiwanan po niya. So that is something that we need to do also. No? Ano ba yung pwede natin magawa sa mga naiwanan itong mga taong ito? No? And also, no, siguro, next po, we could also take care of living, quality of living, and quality time. Let's also make meaning of the experience. No? This is where we will ask the questions, why? Bakit kaya nangyari ito? No? So maybe there's a lesson behind this one. Maybe someone is teaching us about the lesson that life is short, that we need to spend quality time with our family. Kasi hindi pala tayo magtatagal. Akala natin healthy na tayo, hindi tayo mamamatay. So that sort of thing, we need to let them sort out with the meaning of this experience. And lastly, we'll try to check if this person is also religious. Not all, but there are some who are in religious communities. So let's lead them towards spiritual support group, no? A spiritual support community, no? Or otherwise, yung rituals na sinasabi dyan, maybe we could have a memorial night closure, no? It's a closure activity that we could make, no, for our loved ones who have died, no? So pwede ring magsulat or gumawa ng drawing o magsunog ng mga bagay, no? Siyempre, yung mga memorabilia na pwede nating ihandog na parang I am letting you go, something to that effect. So that is something that we need to work it out with our clients and with our students. Okay, next po. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, we'll do this very quickly. We'll just discuss a little bit about hormones and neurotransmitters. There's 3 neurotransmitters and 1 hormone that makes us happy. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so ano yung una? First is dopamine. What is that? Next po. Let's show the whole slide. So it's a feel-good transmitter. You could get it from sunlight. Okay, sunlight gives us not only dopamine but also vitamin D. No, but this is a warning for all of us. No, yung bright light po, no, also activates the dopamine. So be careful with it, especially if you wanted to go to sleep. No, like for example, yung bright light po ng ating cellphone, pag nakita po natin yan at gusto na natin matulog, mahirap po matulog. Kaya nga ho, no, maybe in a few minutes before we go to sleep, medyo mag-fasting na ho tayo sa cellphone. No? Mea culpa ako rin. No? Merong kasalanan sa ganyan. Kaya mahirap makatulog. Okay? Sige. Next po. So, the next one is serotonin. And this one is regulating mood and behavior. And it is, bottom line, checking the balance of our diet. No? Proteins and vitamins is necessary for us to produce serotonin. Next po. About endorphin. So ano po to? No? These are natural tranquilizers. And this includes exercising, meditation, and laughter. And actually, no, meron akong kaibigan. His name is Paulo Trinidad. He's promoting laughter yoga. So using laughter in order for us to heal our emotions. So that is something that we need to understand. Next po. And lastly, ito lang yung nag-iisang hormone and we call that oxytocin. And this is a hormone that promotes feelings of love, bonding, and well-being. And it is found when we do socialization activities. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. Okay, these are some mobile apps that we can use. But one thing first, I want you to understand yung pinag-usapan na natin. Sunlight, diet, exercise, socials. These are 4 important things for us to produce these happy hormones and happy neurotransmitters. No? So, sa physical activities po, nariyan ho ang Map My Run sa Strava. Pagdating sa mental activities, you have Headspace, Whoop, and Calm. These are just some of the activities, some of the mobile apps. Especially sa mga estudyante po natin, they're very fond of mobile apps. So maybe you could ask them to download this for them to be able to monitor their mental and physical health. Okay, let's go to the next. Now, this is the meat of our discussion. How to teach with compassion under the new normal. So the question that I have for you is, are we ready for the new normal? No, let's go back again to that slide. No, so are we ready with the new normal? So kasi maraming mga pinag-uusapan ngayon about online learning, blended learning, modular, flexible, face-to-face. Are we ready with all of those? These are part and package of the new normal. Television, radio, social media, and other platforms are also being used now in the new normal. Lahat po yan ginagawa. No? I believe pati ngayon, no, yung mga internet shops pwedeng gamitin daw under the new normal. Kung kulang daw ng mga computers, pwedeng gamitin daw ang mga internet shops. No? Kasi natural na siyang mga division. So lagyan na lang ng plastic. So that can already be part of the new normal. Something for us to think about. Okay? Next po. So the question I have is, are we ready to go back to school? Tayo po, mga teachers. No? So dalawang bagay, online and face-to-face. For the online, are we ready with our gadgets, with electricity, with internet connection, with our workstation? Like katulad ngayon, ito po yung workstation ko. Sorry, maliit lang pong bahay ko. But I need you to identify if you will be pursuing online learning, online teaching, saan ang workstation mo sa bahay. I need you to identify that. No? And syempre, importante rin, maganda naman yung background. No? So, kasi yun, baka maging source of distraction pa ng mga estudyante mo yan. So, sana wala kang mga naglalakad-lakad sa likod, no? Para talagang mo-concentrate nila yung pag-aaral sa iyo. Okay? Now, how about face-to-face? Ang dami ho nating paghahandaan, no? Ang UP nga ho nagpadala ng listahan ng materials na pwede nating ma-acquire, no? Thermogun, yung pagpapaano ng thermometer, no? ng temperature. Thermogun, alcohol, surgical mask, face shield, goggles, surgical gloves, head and shoe cover or kung ayaw mo ng head and shoe lang, meron mga coverall, yung mga PPEs natin, gowns, apron, tissue paper, disinfectant spray. So are we ready with all of those? Pagdating natin sa face-to-face. Kasi lahat ng ito is a means for us to protect ourselves. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The next thing that we need to understand is, are they ready? Ang ating mga estudyante, are they ready to go back to school? This is a famous cartoon, no, that shows to us the disparity between the rich and the poor pagdating sa online learning, no? Kasi sa online learning, they need to do the same things that we need to do. They need to provide gadgets, electricity. Naalala ko yung isang kwento ng bata na under the Meralco poste, yung ilaw ng Meralco, doon siya nag-aaral kasi walang kuryente sa bahay nila. So imagine that, no? So I know some of you may be in public schools. So imagine niyo, tingnan niyo yung mga estudyante niyo, are they ready for that, no? Kung sa bahay sila mag-aaral, no? Electricity, internet connection, workstation also. They also need to provide their own workstations. Their parents must be able to provide that as well, no? So this is where the disparity of the rich and the poor is very crucial, no, na mapag-aralan natin. How about face-to-face? No? Anong pangangailangan ng mga estudyante natin? Parental consent. Bibigyan ko sila ng go signal ng magulang nila na, o sige, pumasok ka na sa klase. Marami hong magulang sa news kahapon ang nagre-react na doon sa pagbubukas ng klase. For some of them, protection pa rin para sa mga estudyante, no? So that is something that we need to also think, no? Protection sa kanila, protection di lamang sa kanila, sa katawan nila, maybe a uniform, a clothing nila that will protect themselves, but also their bags, no? Anong protection nila sa mga bags nila, no? Na maaring makapitan na nila ng virus habang naglalakad sila, at pati yung mga gamit nila sa loob, no? Example, isa pa, no? Yung pagdadala ng baon instead of going to the canteen. Baka that is something also that we need to consider, no? Para at least, no, diretso from the bahay, dala yung baon, so there's no opportunity for them to contract any virus, hopefully, no? And then also yung mindset ng mga bata, kailangan maging handa sila dun sa mindset of social distancing. Imagine, for more than 2 months, hindi sila nakita ng mga kaklase nila, wala sila nakita ng mga kalaro nila. Imagine what they will do when nagkita-kita sila sa opening of classes, no? Baka nagyakapan na yung mga yan, di ba? Nag-high five yung mga yan. So this is something that we need to be prepared for. How do we change the mindset of our students when they come to the school? Okay, next po. Okay, online classes. Let's prepare for that. Okay, so ano yung mga bagay na dapat natin prepare? Number 1, next po. We need to understand that compassion begins with the principle, no student left behind. Very familiar tayo dyan, especially with the DepEd schools, no? And translating that to the new normal, are we ready to really investigate bawat estudyante? Ano ba ang kakayahan nila? I believe DepEd now has released, no, a survey form sa ating mga estudyante at mga magulang, no, sa mga public schools. They need to answer the form para alam ng mga authorities ano yung kakayahan ng bahay para makapag-provide ng online learning kung sakali, no? So anong mode ba yung meron sila? May TV ba sila? May computer ba? May laptop ba? May internet connection ba sila? So these are things that kailangan ma-survey rin natin sa ating mga estudyante, no? Next po. If you want to also teach with compassion, we need to crowdsource the most effective platform. No? So study the advantages and disadvantages of each and probably make a combination of these things when you do online or blended learning. Next one po. We must ensure, etong problema natin, when we're dealing now with paper, how do we ensure disinfecting them? Okay? So kung bago ka mamigay ng mga hard copy, siguro baka nasa ziplock siya, tapos ibibigay mo sa mga magulang. So that is additional burden for us, no, or the authorities na kasi kung hindi lahat ng mga estudyante ay kaya yung online learning, so they need to resort to handouts. And make sure yung handouts, imagine this, yung paggawa mo ng handouts, it is something imagining yourself na hindi siya naka-attend ng online class. So lahat ng babasahin niya doon as if nagbabasa siya ng resource na pwede nang gamitin pag siya ay nag-examination o nag-quiz na. So that sort of thing. And how will you ensure that yung handout na yan ay na-disinfect bago ibigay sa magulang? Okay? Or you could also opt for soft copy, i-email na lang sa magulang. Hopefully, merong kakayahan ng magulang na may email sila o yung mga estudyante. Okay? So that's for online classes. Next po, we'll discuss greater parental involvement. I believe that the new normal allows us to hammer more to our parents na kailangan po sila para maging successful ang ating new normal. Okay, in what way do we do that? Next po. Okay, so first statement, I think we need the help of counselors or people in the community whom we could talk to, especially sa mga estudyante natin, no? Ano ba ang klase ng home environment na meron ng estudyante natin? Not only in terms of the infrastructure na sinabi ko kanina, but in terms of the home environment mismo. Conducive ba siya sa pag-aaral? O lagi ba nag-aaway ang magulang nila? Or parang wala naman silang wala silang area na magkaroon ng workstation kasi nasa isang maliit na barong-barong lang sila. So that is something that we need to understand, no? Ano ba ang sitwasyon ng ating mga tahanan ng ating mga estudyante? Next po. We need to constantly remind our parents, no, that the success of our online learning and blended learning is determined by two things. That they're able to do some routine schedule and they're able to provide a workspace for their kids. So, ano po yung workstation na para sa mga estudyante lamang? Na dito lang sila. Kasi kung paiba-iba ko at maraming distractions, mahirap po yan, especially for online learners. Next po. We need to provide weekly. Sa akin lang naman po to. Maybe you could refute that as well. Pero ako, ang feeling ko, dahil dito sa new normal, we need to provide weekly feedback to our parents, especially sa mga absentees natin o sa mga walang output o mababa ang output nila. No, para at least ma-follow up nila ang kanilang mga bata, ang kanilang mga anak. Remember that dito natin masusubukan yung parental involvement. Okay, next po. Last is we will be discussing about face-to-face. Nakakatakot po ito. I will be saying some things to you about it. Okay, so next po. Ano ba yung pag-uusapan natin pagdating sa face-to-face? Okay, dito sa first point ko, talk about flag ceremony. Saan gaganapin? Sa patio o sa rooms na lang? No? Para wala nang galawan. Mag-flag ceremony na lang sa kwarto. So pagdating ng bata, diretso sa kwarto, wala nang assembly, no? Why is that? Kasi we need to minimize mobilization of our kids. Imagine mo kasi ang thought pattern natin dito, yung mga parang limiting the opportunities for the virus to spread. So in mobilization, imaginein mo lang yung tulakan ng mga bata, no, yung mga pag-akyat nila kung saan. So how do we do that, no? In terms of our new normal, no? Lab versus the classroom. Ano ang gagawin nila sa laboratory versus anong gagawin nila sa classroom, no? Ano ang setup ng laboratory? How do we disinfect our laboratory materials? And the same time, how do we do that also for the classroom, no? Pagdating sa break time, no, anong mangyayari sa break time ng mga estudyante, di ba? So minsan mga estudyante natin naglalaro, no, parang bawal pa muna yan. O most probably siguro baka mag-break time tayo sa room na lang. Wala munang labasan. So pag kailangan ng lunch break o ng snack break, dun ka lang sa upuan mo. Kung kailangan mong umalis para mag-CR, sige lang. Pero balik ka ulit sa upuan mo. And speaking of CR, anong CR? No? Kailangan pa may nagmo-monitor rin doon. Kasi alam mo naman, harutan ng mga bata, ganun na lamang. So, paano magpo-prevent no, na magkaroon ng ganung klaseng incident na maghawakan sila pagdating sa CR. No? And then, pagdating sa PE, no, maybe we could consider having no contact sports. Kasi yung mga team sports like basketball or volleyball, possibly hindi pa muna yan. So badminton muna, or swimming, or running. No? So that is something challenging for our public schools. No? And then library books. How do we lend and borrow? No? How do we do that for our libraries? No? How do we disinfect the books? Tapos pag binalik sa akin, paano i-disinfect? We need to buy siguro mga ultraviolet, no? Na ma-scan niya, no? Para hindi, kasi hindi mo pwedeng basain yun, no? Hindi mo pwedeng paarawan, pwede rin naman yun, pero it will take some time. So yun yung isang bagay na kailangan nating pag-isipan. How do we disinfect our books, our papers, no? Matanda din sa offices. Ano yung bagong etiquette ng mga bata pagdating sa mga opisina natin, no? Especially sa faculty room. Paano ba yan? No? By appointment na lang ba yan? Or pag may meeting tayo o gusto tayong kausapin, online na lang. So that is something that we need to think about. And also we need to think about the entrance and exit of our schools. No? How do we ensure that health protocols are being followed there? No? So let's go to the next one. So pagdating dito sa additional routines, which of these routines should be done in the classroom? Which of these routines should be done in the entrances of our schools? No, yung temperature check siguro baka sa entrance ng school na lang, no? Ang hirap naman kung yung teacher pa yung magkatulad ng isang drawing natin dito, yung teacher pa yung nag-temperature check sa mga bata, no? So, pagdating sa disinfecting, no? Saan ba yan mangyayari, no? Social distancing, if you see one of the pictures there, no, gaano kalayo ba? And when you talk about that, no, we're talking about the class sizes. So sa classrooms natin ngayon, kadalasan mga 50 sa isang classroom. Can we still do that? Or possibly kalahati lang ng classroom. So problema ngayon, we need to build more classrooms. Ganun ba yon? So that is something challenging for us. Again, especially sa mga public schools, no? And then how about night classes? Paano yan sa mga night classes natin? No? In terms of curfew, no? Pwede ba natin gawin pa rin yun o hindi na? No? So that is something that we need to think about. Next one po. So, the last one, this is about the routine schedule. No? So we need to provide for the schedule of our classes. Imagine 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Kung may mga routine stuff ka pa like disinfecting or sanitizing or checking temperature of students or whatnot or making sure that there are social distancing, makakabawas yon sa oras. Pangalawa, are we still doing group work? Small groups. Paano yan? How do we make small groups now such that hindi sila magkakaroon ng sabihin na nating interaction na makaka-infect sa bawat isa? How handling of papers? How do we handle giving out our test materials and bringing them back to us? No? And then also yung paglalaro. Sometimes kasi we introduce our lessons through play. And is that still possible? Tapos panating sa mga gamit. This is something that I need you to think about. Papayagan pa natin maghiraman ng mga gamit ang mga bata? Or pwede ba yung eskwelahan na lang, kung wala akong kay material o wala pang may lapis dyan o taas ang kamay, ako magbibigay. Pwede ba yun? So that is something that we need to think about. Kasi pag naghiraman sila, that is also a matter of being infected kung sakali. Okay? So maraming bagay for us to think about pagdating sa face-to-face classes. Let's go to the next. Okay, this is probably my last slide now. I just wanted us, no, so siguro sabay-sabay natin basahin muna. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So dalawang bagay lamang po ang gusto kong sabihin dito. Number one, we need to acknowledge resistance to the change. So may mga pagbabago mangyayari and normal po sa atin at normal rin sa estudyante at normal rin po sa magulang na magkaroon ng reaction, magkaroon ng galit, magkaroon ng lungkot, magkaroon iba-ibang reaction o takot, no? And that is normal. Mindset here is very important, no? So you need to change the mindset of all our stakeholders. Mula ho sa admin natin, sa ating mga teachers, sa mga estudyante natin at sa ating mga magulang. They need to change our mindset in terms of how we will do things now, no? And we need to prepare for what is needed. And this is something that I want you to understand. We need to prepare, not to be prepared. Because there will be certain things here na matutuklasan na lang natin when we are into the classes already. And we need to accept that, no, na hindi lahat mape-prepare po natin. Okay? Last point I want to say, the new normal may be able to let us reset our unhelpful situations and unhelpful practices in order for us to start doing new helpful practices to our students. Ulitin ko yun. Ibig sabihin po, may mga bagay siguro, ang maganda dito sa new normal natin, may mga bagay tayong maling ginagawa o hindi nakakatulong na ginagawa na pwede nating palitan. We will start again. And hopefully we'll be able to think more about ways how to teach our students with compassion, no? Na dito sa new normal na ating ginagawa. Okay? So with that, siguro I'll end with my presentation. I know that there are already questions for me. So maraming salamat po muli sa inyong pakikinig.
Thank you very much, Sir Rolly, for a very informative and enlightening session. Ako mismo ang dami kong natutunan bilang magulang. So, ang hirap talagang isipin kung paano nga ba talaga tayo makakapagbigay ng tamang psychosocial support sa ating mga students, lalo na sa panahong ito. I don't wish to belabor the obvious, but social emotional learning ought to be given utmost importance. Nasa kamay natin to mga kasama teachers. So, as Sir Rolly mentioned, at this point, we will have the question and answer segment. So Sir Rolly will be responding to some of the questions you have raised during the session sa ating Facebook Live. So for our first question, Sir Rolly, it's one thing to teach with compassion and another thing to make it felt by the students. So how does this happen in virtual teaching and learning? So how can it be made to feel less contrived and distantiated? Yung paano natin mapapa-feel sa students na magkalayo tayo pero malapit pa rin po.
Ayan. Thank you for that wonderful question. Parang Miss Universe lang.
Yes.
So I think it is important for us to first, no, pagdating sa online classes, make the invite, no, parang appealing. Parang madodraw yung estudyante na, uy, ang ganda nito, ang klase na to, no? So parang that is one thing that I want to emphasize. So maybe do your artwork in terms of digital artwork, how you'll be able to be creative in inviting our students to our classes. And then pag nasa klase na po sila, ako po, sorry, no, katulad nga yung ginagawa natin, no, we're actually using Facebook Live, pero we're also using Zoom. I think sa mga online classes, Zoom might be the best one for me, no? Kasi so far, yung po yung ina-attendan ko ng mga webinars as well, naka-Zoom sila, no? I need you to explore all of the tools that are there. Kasi sa Zoom po, merong paraan to raise their hand, merong paraan to comment, merong paraan to unmute yung mga estudyante. Ako, I would prefer siguro, pag ikaw ay magdi-discuss, i-mute mo muna lahat ng mga estudyante. And then, pag may nag-raise ng hand, that's the only time that you will mute that particular student. Kung meron siyang gustong sabihin. So, in a way, no, maganda dito, no, parang yung maingay na klase natin, no, mararamdaman mo hindi maingay. No, kasi naka-mute sila lahat. No? And you have the control in order to unmute only those persons na gusto mong makipag-usap sa iyo, no? And para hindi rin sabay-sabay, mahirap rin kasi kung sabay-sabay nagsasalita, no? Meron hong Q&A box doon sa ating Facebook Live, sa ating Zoom. So pwede hong gamitin 'yon. And syempre, katulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, we can do screen sharing, no? So, kuwari pagdating sa reporting, pwedeng ganon. O let's clap our hands for our reporters. So, present po kayo ng bago. So, you will already, ang mga estudyante natin, mabilis naman sa ating mga Zoom. No? So, kaya nilang gawin yan. No? They could learn how to screen share. Tapos, very important to, no? Maybe we could also snapshot, no, the attendance for that class, no? And then siguro with our data privacy, you could ask their consent if this could be posted somewhere, probably in a Google Classroom. In one way kasi, no, with that snapshot of your class, no, two things. Una, they will feel that they belong. No, parang, oy, andito kami, andito kami lahat, no? Nakita nila lahat ng mga kaklase nila, no? And pangalawa, no, hindi ka na mahirapan na mag-check ng attendance. Kasi makikita mo na doon sa buong picture, no, ng Zoom meeting ninyo, kung sino yung mga umattend ng mga estudyante. Okay? So, it's your option also to record it or something, no? Pero yun yung isang bagay na pwede natin maparamdam sa kanila na malayo man tayo, but there's a way for us to do and interact with ourselves, no, in a virtual way. I hope that I was able to answer your question.
Yes, Sir Rolly. So mga kasama teachers, ang dami pong shinare sa atin ni Sir Rolly na mga inputs. Marami tayong pwedeng paglaruan ng tools para maparamdam natin sa mga students natin na malayo man tayo or virtual man ang ating classroom, parang family or community pa rin tayo. So salamat Sir Rolly for that. So for our next question po, when assessing and teaching students, how might a teacher show or model compassion and support? How do we know if we are asking the right questions to ask in processing our students? Yun po, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is where I would promote NCTM, no? Yung National Council of Teachers in Mathematics, kasi dito ko natutunan yung isang word nila. And the word is productive struggle. What does it mean? No? When you allow, no, ang maganda na sinabi nila doon na parang you need to change your mindset that everybody can do mathematics. Kasi kahit sa Philippine setting, di ba, parang pag sinabi mo math, parang, hindi ako magaling dyan. O hindi, ikaw magaling ka dyan, pero ako hindi. No? But ang sinasabi doon, we need to remember the productive struggle na everybody can do math. Actually, sinabi nila doon, we need to remember that every person has a mathematical identity. Remember that. So, parang meron siyang kakayahan na gawin ang mga bagay-bagay. No? So, anong paraan niya? No? For example, let them formulate their own questions. No? So, pwede naman hindi ikaw yung magtanong. Pero, like for example, kanina, no? Ganda nung lesson namin kanina. Imaginein mo, ang papakita mo ay picture ng battery, no? Yung battery ng cellphone, no? Nakalagay 5% na lang pero charging. So this is a mathematics class, ha? So nakalagay 5% charging. Okay? Tapos ang question ng teacher, what do you notice? What do you wonder? Oh, ganda, di ba? So parang every student can answer that. Hindi siya mathematical question kaagad. So pwedeng 5% tapos nakalagay charging, isang tanong ng bata, what time is it charging now? Oh, that's a good question. Tapos sinilagay nila, 9:05, nagsimulang 5% charging. Tapos pinakita ng teacher, meron siyang picture ng iba-ibang itsura ng battery na yon, 5%, 10%, 15%, 60%, tapos iba-ibang time frame. So ngayon, papasok na yung math, no? So in terms of the time and in terms of the charging, ang tanong natin sa mga bata, do you think it will be a linear thing? So, ang gagawin ng bata, i-chat niya ngayon, ipa-plot na niya, no, sa plotting niya, no. So, yun kasi madaling gawin. Everybody can do that. So, parang siguro we need to design our lessons in such a way na parang paano natin gagawa ng interest yung bata na hindi lang po yung mga marunong sa math, no? Huwag natin simulan kaagad sa long division, pero simulan natin sa mga everyday life situations. And I think lesson study has done a lot of good things here. No? I know Nismet is teaching that. No? So sana makita natin yung bagay na yon. Okay? I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Naku, sobrang salamat po sa inyong sagot, sir. Relate ako kasi math teacher din ako. Salamat po, sir, sa inyong ano. Ngayon, marami pong pumapasok na tanong, sir, ha. Meron po tayong isang tanong from Miss Femi Dura Andarayan. Ang tanong niya po ay, paano po malilimit ang social interaction sa schools na hindi masasakripisyo ang social or emotional well-being ng mga estudyante?
Okay. So, I think ang importante dyan, as you've said, di ba, sanay po kasi tayo na pag nagkita-kita tayo, yakapan, tapos parang tawag doon, kamayan. So, probably what we can do is being able to provide new ways of greeting each other, new ways of prompting na I acknowledge you. So pwede siguro baka high five na ganon, i-say, oh, hi, hello, di ba? Or possibly pag nagkita kayo, no, hindi rin daw advisable yung fist bump eh. So pwedeng elbow bump, di ba? So parang yun na yung acknowledgement nila na parang, uy, pare, di ba? So ganon na. No, a way for us to change, no? The traditional way of greeting. And this is something very difficult for us Filipinos. But this is something that we could learn. One thing is, hirap tayo dyan kasi very touchy tayo mga Filipinos. But at the same time, ang binabank ko dito, ang ating kakayahan to actually be resilient on the change. No? Kasi sa una, resistant lang tayo. Pero actually, kaya ako nagsusurvive ang mga Pilipino kasi madali tayong mag-adapt to different environment. So I think that is something important for us, no? Para hindi rin masuffer yung emotional and social interactions nila, create new ways for them to interact, no? High five, elbow bump, no? Or some other things. Okay po ba?
Okay po, sir. Noted po. Siguro yung mga kapatid nating Hapon at Incheck na nagbabaw. Baka pwede
Yes,
tayo,
you
di
do
ba?
that. Diba?
Di ba?
Even
Magbaw
our
na lang
Indian,
tayo
diba?
out of respect.
Namaste.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, kailangan lang talaga nating maging creative at mag-adapt dito sa sitwasyon natin ngayon kasi matatagalan pa tayo sa ganitong sitwasyon. And we
Yeah.
want things to feel as normal as possible. So,
Mm-hmm.
for the last question po, sir, isang napaka-interesting na tanong po from Miss Mara Angela C. Narciso. As the teacher, say you're in the middle of a session or a class and you're suddenly overcome with grief. What's the best approach to gracefully overcome the feeling and get back to work? Naku, marami makaka-relate dito, sir.
In the middle of your class.
Yeah, in the
Yung
middle of your class or session
Oo.
siguro, or I think kahit in the middle of work. Okay? So it's
Mhm.
either ikaw alone and then may kaharap kang ibang tao. How do you gracefully overcome the feeling and get back to
Okay.
work?
I think what is important here is you need to be ready with some activity that you could allow your students to do first, no? So, basta may lesson ka, lagi kang may baon na extra activity. Such that kung meron kang nararanasan na ganon, you could divert muna to this activity, no? At pwede kang lumabas muna ng classroom. Okay? And compose yourself, no? If you need to call someone para mapababa muna yung emotions mo, this is valid, my dear. No, so I hope that you don't allow yourself to be distraught by it. No, so but I need you to just be prepared for it. No, so lagi kami baon, lagi na activity na if ever in the middle of the class, no, very very enjoyable ka, no, very bubbly. Tapos in the middle of it, biglang shucks, parang I'm feeling something here, no? So, a way for you to give that first, or class, I need you to do this first, no? I need to go out first, I need to do something, okay? So, paglabas ng classroom, that's where you have to call probably your husband or your wife or your mother, your father, no? Or anybody whom you trust that can help you lower down your situation. Very important po kasi yun, no? A quick way for us to go back is for us to be able to talk to someone that we trust, no?
Yes.
O kung hindi walang available na ganon, way for you to go back to sa mga ano natin, mga exercises natin, maybe do some deep breathing exercises, no? Kung walang available na tao for you. Okay? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Napakagandang suggestion po yan. At alam ko, yung iba nating kasama teachers, may naiisip din sila. So later on, pwede tayo mag-share na mga naiisip nating ideas and suggestion. Kasi ang pagiging malungkot or anxious sa panahon na to, I don't think it's unique to us. Marami tayong nakaka-feel nitong emosyon na to at valid tong emosyon na nararamdaman natin. So thank you for that, Sir Rolly. So again, maraming salamat po, Sir Rolly. Ngayon, tayo naman po yung magtanong sa mga kasama teachers natin for our wrap-up question. So, in what other ways can you provide psychosocial support to your students? Comment your answers below. Okay? Sa comment box po ng kasama. And then, share with us your ideas and suggestions. So, again, yung tanong po natin, in what other ways can you provide psychosocial support to your students? So, we will be featuring po yung best and most relevant answers on our Facebook page tomorrow. So, again, Sir Rolly, maraming salamat po for sharing with us your time and expertise. I have learned so much from your session and I'm sure na marami rin pong natutunan ang ating mga kasama teachers. But before we officially end, sir, do you have anything else to share with us?
Yeah, meron, because I'm part of OCG, and OCG is Office of Counseling and Guidance from UP Diliman. So maybe there's a slide yata na produce sila Kat sa atin, no? I'm both part of OCG, Office of Counseling and Guidance, but there's also this UP Diliman Psychological Services or UP PsychServe, no? So kung meron ho nakikinig sa atin ng mga estudyante ho ng UP, please go to our Facebook page, no? That's facebook.com/ocg.upd. Mag-iwan lang po kayo ng mensahe sa amin, and a guidance counselor is actually stationed each day, no? Ako po Wednesday afternoon. So yun po yung schedule namin. So every time meron hong naka-station dyan na counselor na pwede hong magbigay ng counseling services po sa atin. On the other hand, ako rin po ay part ng UP Diliman Psychosocial Services o UP PsychServe, no? At ito po ay libre sa lahat ng tao, no? So kaya kung meron silang PubMat na ganyan, you can actually contact them, no? Ito ko yung mga dedicated numbers ng UPD PsychServe. Anybody, as in anybody in the Philippines can contact us. No? Actually, meron kaming isang kaso na hindi lang sa Pilipinas, no? Filipino siya pero nasa abroad. So, I know in this time of pandemic, especially now, nag-declare na hong presidente ng GCQ sa Metro Manila. What does it mean for us to have GCQ? Maraming questions, maraming pangamba. I hope that you will avail of our free counseling services, no? For both UP Diliman Counseling and Guidance, no? And also for UPD PsychServe. I hope that you will always remember that merong hong taong makakaintindi sa inyo. And we are here to serve you. Serve the people, ika nga, sabi namin sa UP Diliman. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing that to our KaSaMa Teachers Community. So mga KaSaMa Teachers, meron po tayong pwedeng lapitan na pwedeng umintindi at tumulong po sa atin kung may mga panahon po na feeling natin nasa dead end tayo. Okay po? So, maraming salamat po ulit, Sir Rolly. Napakarami ko po talagang natutunan ngayon. Ang dami pong bagong insights as a teacher, as a parent, na dadalhin ko po in the next months or years siguro na naranasan natin itong pandemyang to. So, to help us improve our webinar sessions, kindly click on the link in the pinned comment or the link in the caption to answer a quick survey. So, at wag po niyong kakalimutan for helpful and relevant learning resources. Join us for free. Mag-sign up po tayo sa www.kasamateachers.ph. So, on behalf of UP NISMED, Gokongwei Brothers Foundation, and KaSaMa Teachers Community, Thank you everyone for participating in our first KaSaMa webinar session. Keep safe and stay healthy mga kasama, and see you next week.